Well, I poured myself a cup of coffee and I came right back to this, and I've got my clipboard. I love working off the clipboard, by the way. Now, let's go back to Port Angeles. If nothing else, I keep it as a prop, as a nervous thing. Oh, gotta keep a hold of something. So, anyway, let's go back to Port Angeles. Right across the street, I've got that old man across the street that they've taken away because they've claimed he's senile. Matter of fact, they had him taken away. And you know, when he come back, they walked him into the house to get belongings of his, and his windows had been all waxed. His chickens in the back were all dead. You know, and they broke out his windows. They made his house unfit so he couldn't come back to where he was living. That's what my family did. That's what my brothers did. That's what my brother Jerry did. My brother Jerry has such hatred towards old people. I know he murdered the Merlins. Now, let's talk about something I personally did instead of something they personally did. Right next door to that house was the Needham's house, these old people that lived right there. And I believe the guy had a 1950s Ford Vicky car, Victoria car, I believe it was. And that car was parked there, and I had gone out there, and I snuck out there behind that guy's car, and I took a triangle piece of glass, and I set it up behind the wheel of his car, so when he put it in reverse, it would flatten his tire. And my sister Patty was right there with me when I done that. And you know, so if anybody ever asked Patty, did anything like this ever happen? Patty may enjoy telling the story because it was about me doing something. And she was right there when I got caught red-handed doing it. And I thank those Needhams to this very day for catching me. And you know, that old man came out with his cane, and he seen me through the window. I seen him see me, and I got away from his car. And he could tell by my movement, oh, I done something wrong. Because I understand body language, because that even helped me learn. Everything to me is a learning experience, by the way. Just the way that somebody holds something may mean something. So anyway, he seen me, and he come out that door with his cane. He come back there, and I had ran inside that house. That house had a door on it that had one window, two window, three windows, like one, two, three, higher, higher, and higher, like that, from the left to the right when you walk up to that house. And here I walk over there. I'm inside the house, and I'm looking out there, and he's taking his cane, and he's pulled that piece of glass out, and he's shaking that cane at me. Yeah, I caught you, son of a bitch. Thank you, Mr. Needham. Thank you, Mr. Needham. And shortly after that, the Needhams actually moved. I don't know what happened to the Needhams. You know, they were old people too. Maybe they moved out there because of the discomfort that my family did to them. Because Jackie Stockard, there was a fire right behind her house where my brother Jerry and Jim was back there, and they lit the hay bales on fire back there at that guy's archery place. I mean, I remember when the fire happened, and I remember coming out of the house and looking out there, and I seen Jackie Stockard with a hose out there putting water on her fence to try to save the fire from coming onto her property. Now my brothers was doing arsons down there, and those arsons continued when it happened in Mossy Rock. When I was right there at that Mossy Rock, right there, when Jim got that gun and stuff, and there's a Bolling's tractor and stuff that came in there, brand new one. For my dad had to have a brand new Bolling's tractor. My dad had Bolling's tractors and stuff in Port Angeles, Washington. He needed one there too, you know, for his landscaping business. He was taking care of that bowling alley and stuff. He was supposed to be the caretaker there. He wasn't supposed to be working inside. He was just going to be hiding out there at that goddamn bowling alley, just being a caretaker. Well, he ended up being the caretaker up there in Morton too, by the way. But I'll tell you what, he sat there. I remember my dad sitting there looking in the sky, watching the airplanes go past. I remember my dad would sit outside while the bowling leagues was going on. You know, not necessarily hiding from the public, but he'd go back in the bowling machines if there was something wrong back there and fix it, I guess. But I can remember, you know, things that happened and the way my dad would be and the way that he would set himself behind stuff. And I was always in front taking care of my dad. Matter of fact, I was my dad's caretaker at the end of his life, too. I took care of my dad when the rest of the children wouldn't. I mean, my dad was saying stuff to me. Why won't they come out and see me? Why would you explain to me? There's a car going slow looking in. Why won't they come? And he's fishing for me to see what I know and what I don't know. Then I finally get to the point I can't make goddamn excuses for what their behavior is. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with them. And he knew I didn't know goddamn nothing about that Zodiac killer. He knew I didn't know nothing about the DB Cooper, nothing. And then he started telling me stories and stuff. And he gave me his knives. And I ended up taking him down to the bowling alley, you know. And we ended up talking about those stones out there, and these here are about people, and this about dead people. And he tells me, I'm sorry about your friend that was murdered there on your bed, John. And he told me that the money that this bowling alley was built on was stolen. And the only place that the money could have came from was the DB Cooper, and I was there during the Thanksgiving event on Division Street held with my brother-in-law Richard Baker, my sister Bonnie's husband, and the rest of them were all gone. Terry Lance Shortridge came to my house during this. Hey, John's over there. My family's gone. Well, they must have put it together that DB Cooper stunt, and I was there being with somebody, with a stranger, and they must all put it together in that goddamn town. Me? I didn't know. I couldn't care if my family was gone because I was poisoned in Mossy Rock the year before, I believe. It was a couple of years before. So I couldn't care where my family is on holidays. I haven't eaten food with my family in many years. How do you feel today? Because of those events and them leaning on me in that town suppressed all the children in that town. Every one of those children that are in that class that I was in with Terry Shortridge are all witnesses to the murder, and they all know that bowling alley was on stolen money. None of those kids came down from in that bowling alley. None of my friends was coming down there at that goddamn bowling alley and spending time there with me. And I never joined the league in that bowling alley and bowled in that bowling alley. There's a few people that came to that bowling alley, and those people, I remember them well. But you get people in that class talking, and they're going to tell you goddamn stories. They all fled Morton. There's some of them that's still there. Danny Gross is still there, and so is Norianne Loris. So is Janet Gilk. So is Christy Powell over there at that school, and I talked to her last year about are they going to have a lemonade stand down there in Morton, Washington? Are they going to kill those people? Are they going to have a James Jones massacre down there? I contacted the community. I contacted members of the community, and I made sure the goddamn community known. Matter of fact, I contacted a company here in Washington State, and they're really easy to find out, and I got their email address too in my email thing, and I'm sure everything's trackable. I contacted them about removing a nuclear reactor in Morton, Washington, and I let that guy goddamn know about that. And I let DOT know about that because this here motorhome I bought for my nephew, and I've had problems changing the title to this, along with that car, that Corvette that got destroyed right down here, and I contacted Geico Insurance about it. I had full coverage on that car, and that car, I'm being told, is being damaged here on the property by a foreign person of some sort. I've put security cameras on the property and stuff, and then we got the cameras, the antennas and stuff are being broke off of it. And then my nephew, his children have been taken away by the cops, so the cops are involved, and he brought it to my attention Because I was over here, me, 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 and then all of a sudden I catch on that they're leaning on him, 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 him. And he's saying, well, I can't tell you, I can't tell you. And I said, well, you're saying the same thing that Marietta's telling me. You're saying the same thing that other people's are telling me. They keep telling me, I can't tell you, I can't tell you. People are coming in the bowling alley and telling me it's my family, but I can't tell you, John. Because why? Because they'll end up dead if I say such and such told me something. I wasn't running to the cops, but even my family, assuming that somebody had told me something, they were getting snuffed out. I have so many friends that's been murdered, I could just start listing them on a sheet of paper, and I'm probably gonna, and I'm sure that it'll be at least 2 pages long. That was murdered. How many friends have you had that was personally murdered? How many times has the law enforcement community ran you out of the community? Because they ran me out of Morton, Washington. They ran me out of Elko, Nevada. They ran me out of Lewis County, Washington. They ran me out of Clark County, Washington. And now I'm here at my sister's house. Now I'm dealing with the cops across the way, which they're not there no more now that I've came forward. I'm dealing with this bitch across the way. I'm even dealing with my own family members acting out and telling me stuff, even baseball threats with baseball bats, and AR-15s has been talked about, and right here at my door on 2 occasions in the last, 30 to 60 days. I've been told it's a good day to die, and I just smile and say, yeah, it is a good day to die, isn't it? And I'm not kidding, because when somebody comes over and threatens somebody that's a witness to a murder, and this has everything to do with John F. Kennedy. And I told Ernie that just the last time he was there. Outside, I went out here and I had a talk with him, and I said, this is about JFK, don't you? This is about the Johnsons up there in Port Angeles, Washington. This has everything to do with the Texas Book Conservatory. Here, can't you hear the fucking music? I'm right here, Ernie. I'm wearing clothes that has music on it because they're doing around music stores. And right there next to my attorney's office, right there at Harrison and Plymouth, like Plymouth Rock, right there, Clinton's music store right next door. Right there's the music store. Can't you hear the goddamn music? My attorney, James L. Rowland, started threatening me, extorting money from me. 13 minutes, I gotta get out of here. James L. Rowland's my attorney, and I'm gonna go with that one on this one. Thank you very much. 13 minutes, I'm gonna be uploading. And you know what? I love you, America. Do I look like I'm really your goddamn liar? Who's lying? John Wright? Or I got proof. I've got evidence. I've got my picture. I've got a hat that says D.B. Cooper's right here. I've got goddamn coffee cups. I've got shirts with my faces all over them. Somebody owes me some goddamn royalties. The people that come here that deliver my groceries agree with me. They owe me goddamn money. I'd like to pull out lottery balls and give people houses away across America. Bigger than the Powerball. Because somebody's going to win on mine.